Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the country. We're watching a clip from First Things First, talking about the Cowboys going all in 2024. And if this is your first time checking out a video, please don't forget to subscribe. We are building an amazing community here, and it's turning into something truly, truly special. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then definitely please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. So without further ado, let's get to it. I know, so Jerry Jones has been making some conversation. I think, he's trying to keep the Cowboys and the in the media right now, in the headlines, because he's definitely feeling some pain right now, knowing that a rival of the 49ers is, up there, obviously going to the Super Bowl, so he sees it's possible. I feel like to some degree it would be better if it was like the Lions or the Packers. I feel like maybe that would somewhat be a better, like an easier pill to swallow for Jerry, because then you would just be like, this was a random year for them, and who knows what can happen. They caught fire, this, that, and the third. But to see the 49ers continued excellence and see that they keep making NFC Championship games, winning NFC Championship games, going to the Super Bowl, and just knowing that the Cowboys have done none of that, I think is eating at Jerry right now. So I'm curious to see how they unpack this.
No shirt.
I thought that was totally fine.
It's first things first.
I thought it was Cowboy Brew.
I mean,
S-Bob. He basically said we S-Bob. Chris Broussard is right. We're S-Bob every single year.
yeah. But this year especially, they're S-Bob.
Well, look, as much as I think Jerry Jones should stop talking, I don't want to hear from him until someone's handed him the NFC title trophy. That's the next time I really want to hear from Jerry Jones. All that said, he's right. He is right on the money.
Wow.
Hold on. You got a Super Bowl caliber defense. For all their little flaws, they're not as good as San Francisco's. We've seen them get run over too. So they got a Super Bowl caliber defense, not the best in the league, but up there. They got a superstar receiver. You've got a quarterback who's very good and is going into his 9th year. It's not a young pup. It's not a guy that's going to just getting better and better like Brock Purdy. He's who he is in his 9th year.
That's true.
All right? So you are Super Bowl or bust without question. Now, the one thing Jerry didn't say that I wanted him to say was, since we are all in, as Einstein said, it was Einstein, I believe. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Not actually Einstein, but attributed to Einstein often. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Whoever it was.
It was written on the internet next to an Einstein picture, and people think he said it, but sure.
Like me.
Theory of relativity.
Yeah, that was Einstein.
That was Einstein.
Yeah.
But he should have said, because we're all in, because we're going to do things differently, you won't hear from me the rest during the football season.
Zero chance.
No more post-game interviews, no more radio interviews. We are all about football, period, because we are all in. If he had said that, you know what? His players would have been going crazy. Wherever they are, on vacation, wherever, they would have been excited because he puts pressure on them with all his little comments, even though he might be right.
Okay. All right. The only thing I would add to what you said, because I actually disagree with a lot of it, but the one thing I would add in your favor is, no matter what you think of Dak, if we're talking about making a Super Bowl, you have to think about him within the context of the competition in the NFC. So even if you don't think Dak's one of the 5 or 6 best quarterbacks in the NFL, they're so disproportionately in the other conference. So first of all, I want to translate what Jerry was saying. Jerry was saying Micah Parsons is about to be the highest paid defensive player in the league. CeeDee Lamb is about to get his contract extended, and Dak Prescott is about to get, and people will not believe it, but I would peg it at 3-year, $175 million.
175.
Right under $60 million a year, a 3-year extension. I'm just telling you, mark this tape and we can come back to it. Jerry is telling you they are going all in on the guys they have. And I have no idea why he's saying this. I have no idea. If the Cowboys need to take a holistic approach to the offseason where nothing is off the table, nothing. because they are not as close as I thought they were. They are not as close as Jerry thinks they are. And while I probably would give Micah Parsons the contract he has earned, I would like to have all options and all discussions on the table of, hey, remember when Khalil Mack was on the Las Vegas Raiders and they got multiple first-round picks for him from Chicago? Now, they squandered those picks, but we look at what Mack then did with the Bears, what those picks ended up being. Again, they picked the wrong players. That was a smart trade. I'm not saying you do that, but I'm saying the GM, before the Super Bowl's even played, the GM owner, voice of the franchise, just telegraphing to these players, agents, and to the NFL, what we're doing is bringing everyone back at higher salaries, guys, is ludicrous. It's just terrible management. There should be, you're right, Brew, that Dak is not a young pup, but this is not Drew Brees the last couple years in New Orleans, where it's like, you know what? We will put it all on the credit card, screw the future, because we think we only have a couple years left with him. Or Tampa once they got Tom.
But why don't they remember the owner and, he's getting up there in age. Let's just put it that way. So they need to win now. If they don't win it within the next 3 years, are they ever going to win it with that? 3 or 4 years, are they going to win it with that?
I know.
I know they're.
So, I think the whole thing with Jerry Jones' age is an interesting thing to bring up because there seems to be some debate within the Dallas Cowboys community of whether or not does Jerry want to win or not. I think in order to win, you have to really take some chances, of course. And those chances sometimes, are mortgaging the future. And you don't know what that's going to look like. And that's why they talk about, right, when you say you're going all in, the whole concept of being all in means that if you bust, like, things go bad. Things just kind of, pop and you have, too high of people on your, on your roster and you got to get rid of them, or you got rid of all these picks and now you don't have any, you can't draft well in the next few years, whatever, right? Like, that's what happens, right? It's boom or bust. You either double up and make all this money back or you just lose everything, right? That's literally what all in means, especially when you're talking about things of like poker. And so with Jerry Jones, let's just say in the best of circumstances, Jerry probably has 10 years of life left to live. And that's probably pushing. I'm not trying to bury the man or, put any, death timer on him, but he obviously has significantly less time than more time. He's near the end of his long life. And so I think he's at a crossroads where he wants to win. He wants to win a Super Bowl, of course, because of course he wants to win a Super Bowl before he dies. And, I'm sure that would make him, so happy and feel very accomplished. But at the same time, he doesn't want to be irrelevant. And I don't even mean that from just an ego standpoint. I think sometimes we associate that with like an ego thing, but I think also like the way he looks at it is like, he wants to be relevant. He wants his team to be relevant. He wants to have fun and compete and be on the sports shows and have these kind of topics, because nothing would be worse for Jerry than being who the New York Giants are right now, or the Washington Commanders, or the who were the the Houston Texans minus this year, or the Carolina Panthers. Like, that would be devastating to have to endure that for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, however many years, and then it's just like, this is the Dallas Cowboys, and then he's going to die at the bottom. That sucks. That does suck, and that's no fun. And at least he gets to go every weekend during the regular season with the idea of this could be our year. We could win. The Cowboys are rolling, winning games. And although I've pointed out the flaws in that, it's still fun. It's still something. They're still being talked about. Can they win the Super Bowl? People like Nick Wright are saying they have a chance to win the Super Bowl, at least make it to the Super Bowl. Dak Prescott can be the MVP. There's a lot of excitement. It's a lot of great. And so again, if you're talking about just a business perspective, because in sports, right, we talk so much about boom or bust, right? Winning it all, you may as well win it all or not do anything, right? Like, what's the point if you're not going to win it all? There's the Ricky Bobby thing. If you're not first, you're last. And there's some truth to that to a degree. But that's not how life is, right? If you say, hey, I want to set out and I want to get married and I want to have 3 kids and I want to make, $1 million a year as my life, right? But you have to really risk a lot to do that and sacrifice a lot. And maybe you can get married and only have 2 kids and make $500,000 a year. It's a pretty great life to me. I don't know about you guys, but I would say that's a pretty awesome life. I'm pretty happy with that. And yet it doesn't work that way in sports, right? We if someone keeps making the NFC Championship game, but they never get past it, it's seen as a failure. When in reality, in any other aspect of life, it would be a major accomplishment and success. Think about it this way. I think another great way to look at it is let's say your team, whatever team it is, they make the NFC Championship or the AFC Championship 10 years in a row, but they never win the Super Bowl. Is that a failure? Or are you considered to be one of the most dominant teams in NFL history? I think you're one of the most dominant teams in NFL history. Those famous Bills teams that made it to the Super Bowl all those years and lost, to me personally, that's a dynasty. I know they didn't win it all. I know the master plan, the grand scheme of things is to raise the trophy and say, we won, we did it. But at the same time, they showed such high levels of excellence that finishing at the top year in after year out, that is a major accomplishment. And you're doing better than literally, like if you went to the NFC Championship game 10 years in a row, you would be doing better than 99% of the franchises out there, right? And it's like, what would be better? Winning one Super Bowl every 10 years or going to the NFC Championship every single year for like 15 years? I mean, it's to me, it's an interesting conundrum because you win the one Super Bowl, but all the other years you're not even making the playoffs. Like it's a weird trade-off. And a lot of people would say, well, you want the trophy, you got to get the Lombardi trophy. That's what it's all about. And I get that argument. I really, really do. But also, if you're talking about someone like a Jerry Jones where you have to risk it all and you can maybe really legitimately go bust, because every time you go all in, we hear all the stories of people going all in and winning, but we don't really ever really linger on the stories of people going all in and completely losing. And so I can't necessarily blame Jerry for not wanting to do that and just being like, well, you know what? Life has been pretty good for the Dallas Cowboys these last few years. Yes, we haven't won. Yes, things have ended pretty sad and tragically and disappointingly. But you know what? All the other days leading up to those games and all those other moments have been really fun, really great, really exciting. Dallas is rocking and rolling. The stadium's filled. The fans going crazy. Everyone's optimistic, having fun. Cheerleaders dancing. Dak getting MVP votes and all of that being talked about on all those sports shows. Life's pretty good. The evaluation of the Dallas Cowboys is only going higher and higher and higher. And in a lot of ways, it's like, what more can you ask for? And the counter to that is well, you could ask for a Super Bowl trophy, right? You could ask for the Lombardi trophy. And to me, that is the dilemma that someone like a Jerry Jones faces near the time of his age, because it would be kind of sad, no matter how you feel about Jerry Jones, but like if the Cowboys do go all in, or maybe they have to get rid of Dak and they want to try to get a big up and coming quarterback, and maybe that quarterback ends up being a bust, or it just takes too long to develop, and now the Cowboys are just nowhere near as good. They're fighting for a wild card spot, or even, they might not even get into the playoffs, and now Jerry Jones has nothing to root for, right? The team is winning 9 games a season or whatever, and it's just like, well, that's no fun. So it's interesting. It's tough. I like the aggressive moves. I rather sacrifice a couple of years of not doing too well for moments of greatness and stuff like that, but I've been on both sides of it. Again, the Eagles run back in the early thousands with Andy Reid. They went to 4 NFC Championship games in a row. I consider that to be a dynasty. They went to the Super Bowl. They never won, but those were some of the best years of football. Got to watch, knowing that the Eagles were competitive year in and year out, and they literally went to 4 NFC Championship games, which at the time was absolutely remarkable. Now it's a little bit more common with the Patriots and the Chiefs, which is another Andy Reid coach. And so it was, you could be very proud of that. And then the same thing, the Eagles were nothing, and then they won a Super Bowl, and then they were nothing for a couple years, and then they went back to a Super Bowl. So again, and on both sides are very exciting. And yeah, it would be very disappointing if I was a Cowboys fan and I had, my team be as good as they were for the last 3 years and didn't even get an NFC Championship game, I would be very upset. Would I feel a little bit better if they made it to at least a Super Bowl and lost, or made it to an NFC Championship and, lost? I would probably feel better, right? Like, I'm very proud of the Eagles season last year. I know losing in the Super Bowl isn't ideal, but making to the Super Bowl is pretty good. And losing to Patrick Mahomes, there's no shame in that. Losing to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, no shame in that. So I think it's a little bit more complex than people realize. And I also just don't know what are all the options that the Cowboys have in front of them, because you're already keeping your coach, which I don't know if that was necessarily the right move. And then same thing with Dak Prescott. You're keeping Dak. Dak has proven to not be good enough to get the job done, even when you have a really, really good team. So I don't know. The best bet you have is convincing Dak to take a discount if possible. And if you can, then you try to beef up that roster and you spend that money in the best way possible. And, if not, if you have to run it back with who you got and you're going to add, I don't know, a couple of rookies in the draft, I don't know why you think that's going to be enough to get you over the Super Bowl hump, because the 49ers will be good, especially if Brock Purdy pans out to be, even if he's just the same player and not as good as people think he is, they're still obviously good enough. And if he's better than people think he is and he continues to grow, then that's going to be an even harder team to beat. The Eagles, in theory, should be significantly better. They went out and got true offensive and defensive coordinators this year, so the Eagles should be significantly better and should have that ship righted. Detroit Lions, they kept their OC, so they're going to be a good competitive team and arguably even better than they were this past year. The Packers are now a year more mature, smarter, better, have the experience. They already beat you in their very green novice way, and so they're going to be better. All these teams are getting better, and if the Cowboys don't get better, why are you expecting better results? Doesn't really make sense. But what do you all think? I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this one. Please let me know in the comments below. What do you think the Cowboys should do? Do you think they need to make a big splash move, trade someone like a Micah Parsons, like Nick is suggesting, or getting rid of Dak? Or, what do you guys think? What do you think Jerry should be trying to do in the last X amount of years of his life? Would love to hear your thoughts. Please let me know them in the comments below. Please don't forget to subscribe. As I said, we are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It truly, really does help with the visibility and the algorithm, and I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, and see you next time.